And the Antichrist he will be the eighth horn in the succession of these 1 through 7 that are in sequential order. Okay? So the Antichrist is the eighth horn, and the Antichrist is the seventh head. So the heads, you got to understand the difference between the heads and the horns here to really get a good picture. This may clarify it for some of you. Hopefully it doesn't make you all more confused. But like I say, it is not easy to come up with all of this and to understand it. But there you have the explanation of the 7 heads and 10 horns. The second thing we're told is that there's going to be a development into the government of imperialism into 5 stages. The top one is kings, which is the first head, counselors, the second head, plebeians, the third head, republicans, the fourth head, triumvirates, the fifth head. By the way, that's just a big fancy word telling you that there were 3 individuals, and all 3 of those individuals, they ruled Rome at that time. Okay, it was a collective decision by 3 specific top ruling individuals. Thirdly, we're told that there are going to be successive stages of the Fourth Empire of imperialism: the United stage, the Roman Empire, the 2-division stage, Eastern and Western, the 1 world government stage, and the 10-kingdom stage. And all of these comprise the 6th head, and then comes the 7th head, which is the Antichrist himself. Now, there's going to be 3 world wars in the Great Tribulation. The First World War is when the Antichrist rises to power. That's at the very beginning of the tribulation. The second is going to be when the Antichrist is killed, resurrected, and kills 3 of the other kings. That's at the midpoint of the tribulation period. Those other 7 will submit to him. And then he rules the world for that last 3.5 years of the tribulation period. The Third World War, the Great Tribulation, is when he's destroyed at the second coming of Jesus Christ. So as far as the sequence is concerned, there are 9 events leading up to the Great Tribulation, 3 of which concern the time of the Gentiles. We've been living in the 2-division stage of the Fourth Empire since 285 AD. The 2-division stage will be done away with in the destruction of the Russians in Israel, from which we will come into a one-world government. This is all still future to you and I, which will turn, it will be split up into 10 kingdoms. These kingdoms will continue from before the Great Tribulation into the middle of the Great Tribulation, at which time the Antichrist will take over the entire world, both politically and religiously. Okay. I'm tempted to say, are there any questions? But I'm afraid so, if you don't have any questions, we'll go on. Okay, now we're going to jump back to chapter 13. That was all, chapter 17 was a detour to give us hopefully a clear understanding of the information on this sheet that is explaining the difference between these heads and the horns. Okay? You got to understand, some are sequential and some are contemporary. And if you can keep those 2 separate, hopefully we'll be able to understand it. So, we jump back now to chapter 13, the chapter that we're studying. Verse 2. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, his mouth as the mouth of a lion, and the dragon gave him his power and his throne and great authority. So in this verse we see the development a little bit more fully of the counterfeit trinity. Now who is the counterfeit trinity composed of? It is Satan. He plays the part of the counterfeit of God the Father. And then you've got the Antichrist. He's the counterfeit of Jesus Christ. And then the Holy Spirit, of course, he has a counterpart, which is the false prophet. So this makes up the counterfeit trinity that Satan is going to use. Verse 3. And I saw one of his heads as though it had been smitten unto death. And his death stroke was healed. And the whole world wondered after the beast. Now this verse is describing what happens to the Antichrist at the midpoint of the tribulation period. Okay? And I want you to notice the description here. And I saw one of his heads as though it had been smitten unto death, and his death stroke was healed, and the whole earth wondered after the beast. So, The real question here at this point is the Antichrist actually slain? Is he actually killed at this point in time? Or is he just appeared? Does it just appear to be killed at this point in time? The head that is smitten unto death, whose death stroke was healed, is the seventh head, which is the Antichrist head. In the Daniel 11:40 through 45 passage, the Antichrist moves in with the Second World War to take over the world. And then in verses 44 through 45,